As an INFJ, your energy is not just physical stamina. It is emotional, mental, and spiritual vitality all woven into one. It's what fuels your intuition, creativity, empathy, and depth. In this video, we're looking into the subtle signs that shows your energy is being drained and, more importantly, how to reclaim back your power. The first subtle sign that you're leaking energy as an INFJ is when you start feeling emotionally heavy for no clear reason. You wake up with a weight on your chest that doesn't belong to you. This happens because INFJs unconsciously absorb emotional residue from people around them, in conversation, in crowded places, even through digital spaces. If you're not consciously grounding yourself, this emotional absorption turns into energy leakage. You become a vessel for everyone's burdens, holding on to emotions that never belong to you, until your inner light starts to dim without explanation. Another clear sign of energy leakage is when your boundaries begin to blur. INFJs are natural givers. You thrive on helping others, inspiring them, and being the emotional safe space people rarely find elsewhere. But because of your empathetic nature, you often say yes when your spirit is begging for a no. You pour into others without pausing to refill your own cup. You stay up late comforting someone when you're already drained, or you take on more emotional labor than your soul can carry. Soon, you begin to feel invisible, unseen, and underappreciated, yet you keep giving. That quiet depletion, disguised as kindness, is one of the most dangerous leaks an INFJ can experience. You might also notice that your creativity feels blocked or distant. For INFJs, creativity isn't optional. It's how you process emotions, ideas, and intuitive downloads from your inner world. Whether you write, design, teach, or simply daydream, you need creative flow to stay whole. When you're leaking energy, though, your inner well begins to dry. The ideas don't come as easily. Inspiration feels dull. Even when you sit down to create, it feels forced or hollow. That's because your mind and spirit are too entangled in other people's energies to hear your own inner voice clearly. Emotional numbness is another deep indicator. INFJs are known for their depth of feeling, the way you can sense beauty in small details and find meaning in quiet moments. But when your energy is leaking, that emotional richness turns to gray. You stop feeling joy where you used to. Music doesn't touch you the same way. You find yourself scrolling endlessly or isolating without purpose, not because you want to recharge, but because you've silently burned out. The irony is that the more you try to regain peace through isolation, the more detached and restless you feel, because it's not solitude you need, it's energetic cleansing and reconnection. Another hidden leak shows up in your relationships. You might start attracting people who constantly take, but rarely give. As an INFJ, your aura radiates understanding and compassion, which draws wounded souls to you like a moth to a flame. But when your energy boundaries are weak, you become an emotional magnet for those who drain you. The narcissists, the chronic complainers, or the emotionally unavailable types who subconsciously feed off your healing presence. Every interaction begins to feel like a transaction where your peace is the price. If you leave conversations feeling empty, anxious, or vaguely sad, that's your spirit's way of telling you that your energy has been siphoned away. When your intuition begins to falter, that's another serious sign. Your intuition is your inner compass, and when your energy is intact, it guides you with quiet confidence. But when you've been leaking energy for too long, doubt replaces clarity. You second-guess your insights, your decisions, even your worth. You begin to ask for external validation for truths you already know deep down. This happens because intuition thrives on stillness, and when your energy field is scattered or drained, your inner knowing becomes harder to hear. You lose that deep sense of, I just know, and instead, you find yourself feeling uncertain, anxious, and mentally foggy. Physical exhaustion is another sign. For INFJs, emotional depletion almost always translates into physical fatigue. You might sleep for hours and still wake up tired. You might feel your body aching, your chest heavy, or your breath shallow. This is your nervous system signaling that your inner energy circuits are overloaded. You've been absorbing more than your emotional system can process, and your body, being deeply attuned to your spirit, starts to protest. No amount of caffeine or naps can fix this kind of tiredness, because it's not physical sleep you need, it's energetic rest. Another form of energy leakage comes from living out of alignment with your values. INFJs are idealistic to their core. You need meaning and authenticity in everything you do. When you stay in environments, jobs, or relationships that clash with your inner truth, your soul starts leaking energy as an act of protest. You'll feel a deep internal tension, a quiet sadness that doesn't go away, no matter how much you try to rationalize it. The more you betray your values to please others or to maintain peace, the more your life feels like a cage. Your spirit grows quieter until you barely recognize yourself. The most subtle, yet perhaps most painful sign of energy leakage is when you start withdrawing from life itself. You stop engaging in what used to light you up. You stop reaching out, stop dreaming, stop believing that your presence matters. It's as if your light begins to fade inward. Not because you want to hide, but because you've given away too much of yourself to people and places that never knew how to pour back into you. You start to feel invisible not because others can't see you, but because you no longer see yourself. You may also notice yourself becoming overly reactive to emotional environments that you used to handle gracefully. A conversation that once felt harmless suddenly leaves you anxious. A tone of voice that shouldn't bother you suddenly feels piercing. This hypersensitivity isn't weakness. It's your intuitive radar being overstimulated. When you've been absorbing other people's energy for too long, your emotional system loses its natural filter. Every vibration hits you directly because your energetic shield has thinned. It's like walking through life without skin. Every emotion, every mood, every subtle cue from others feels like it's touching your core. That's your spirit telling you it's time to step back and rebuild your energetic boundaries. Another often unnoticed form of energy leakage happens when you constantly suppress your truth. INFJs hate conflict, and you'll often choose silence over confrontation. Even when your intuition screams that something is off, you swallow your emotions to keep the peace, pretend you're fine when you're not, or force a smile when you're silently breaking inside. Each time you do this, your energy fractures a little more. You trade authenticity for harmony, but the harmony never lasts because it's built on self-abandonment. This quiet self-betrayal drains your vitality faster than any argument ever could. Your soul, built on truth and depth, withers every time your voice is stifled. The longer you silence your truth, the dimmer your inner light becomes. Sometimes, the leak appears through chronic empathy fatigue, a term few talk about, but INFJs know too well. You care so deeply and listen so attentively that your empathy turns into emotional labor. You start feeling guilty for other people's pain, responsible for fixing their wounds, or anxious when you can't help. You might even find yourself carrying emotional guilt for choosing yourself. When you reach this point, empathy stops being your gift and starts becoming your burden. It's a painful irony. Your compassion, which is meant to heal, begins to hurt you. The moment your empathy stops replenishing you and starts exhausting you, your energy has already been leaking for far too long. Another sign appears when you become restless in stillness. INFJs usually find comfort in solitude, but when your energy is leaking, solitude becomes uneasy. You sit in silence but can't find peace. Your thoughts keep racing, your body feels agitated, and you reach for distractions, scrolling endlessly, overplanning, or daydreaming in circles. You may even confuse this restlessness with inspiration, thinking you just need to do more. But the truth is, your inner self is struggling to reset. Restlessness is the soul's cry for reconnection. It's the noise that fills the space where your intuition used to speak clearly. When solitude no longer restores you, it's a sure sign that your energy reserves are depleted. You'll also notice energy leaking through people-pleasing disguised as kindness. You offer help before being asked. You adjust your behavior to make others comfortable. You say yes to things that silently drain you, fearing you'll disappoint someone. You think you're being kind, but beneath that kindness is an unspoken fear. Fear of rejection, fear of being misunderstood, or fear of being seen as selfish. Every time you compromise your own needs to keep others comfortable, a piece of your energy slips away. Over time, this creates emotional resentment, not just toward others, but toward yourself. You begin to feel invisible, used, or unappreciated, not realizing that it was your own unguarded generosity that opened the leak. Energy also seeps out when you start losing touch with the present moment. INFJs naturally live in the realms of what could be, future visions, meanings, and possibilities. But when your energy is drained, that imaginative gift turns into mental escapism. You drift too far into the future or get lost replaying the past, while the now feels dull and meaningless. You may feel like you're living on autopilot, detached from your body, watching your own life instead of living it. This disconnect from presence isn't laziness. It's your spirit's defense mechanism. You're so overstimulated by external energies that your mind retreats into imagination to cope. The more you live in mental projections, the more your real-life energy fades. Another hidden leak shows up in self-neglect, disguised as being strong. You convince yourself you don't need help. You carry emotional weight alone because you believe no one will understand the depth of what you feel. You push yourself to be there for everyone else while silently unraveling inside. This self-sufficiency might look admirable, but for INFJs, it's often an unconscious survival pattern. You forget that strength isn't measured by endurance, it's measured by balance. Refusing to receive support keeps you in a cycle of quiet depletion. The energy you use to hold yourself together eventually runs out, leaving you emotionally hollow and spiritually numb. Understanding why energy is so important to INFJs is the first step toward reclaiming it. You are an energetic being before anything else. Your intuition, empathy, and vision, the very gifts that make you who you are, depend entirely on the quality of your energy. When your energy is pure, grounded, and protected, you can sense truth instantly, read emotions effortlessly, and create beauty out of nothing. You feel connected to life, to people, nature, and the unseen spiritual rhythm that guides everything. But when your energy is scattered or drained, all those gifts feel like burdens. You feel confused instead of intuitive, anxious instead of empathetic, and disconnected instead of inspired. The first step in stopping your energy from leaking as an INFJ begins with awareness. Awareness of where your spirit naturally expands and where it quietly shrinks. INFJs often give without measuring the cost, but you must start paying attention to how you feel after each interaction. Notice who leaves you inspired and who leaves you depleted. Energy doesn't lie. The people who truly align with your frequency will leave you feeling peaceful, not drained. When you become conscious of this energetic pattern, you begin to reclaim your power by choosing your company intentionally. Protecting your energy doesn't mean becoming cold. It means becoming selective. You're not shutting people out. You're preserving the sacred space within you that keeps you alive and intuitive. One of the most powerful ways to stop leaking energy is learning the art of energetic detachment. INFJs absorb emotions like sponges, but you need to remember that empathy doesn't mean ownership. When you sense someone's sadness or anxiety, your instinct is to take it into your own heart to help. But healing doesn't come from taking. It comes from holding space. Practice witnessing emotions instead of absorbing them. Visualize a gentle light around you. Not a wall, but a translucent shield that allows you to feel compassion without carrying pain. This mental practice trains your subconscious to differentiate between your energy and theirs. Over time, you'll find that you can still be deeply empathetic without drowning in emotional weight that isn't yours. Another crucial step is redefining what it means to help. INFJs often mistake over-involvement for love. You think that to show care, you must be constantly available, constantly giving, constantly fixing. But that mindset keeps you perpetually drained. True help uplifts both giver and receiver. The next time you feel the urge to fix someone's problem, pause and ask yourself, is this empowering them or emptying me? Often, the most loving thing you can do is let others walk their own path. Detachment doesn't mean indifference, it's wisdom. It allows people to grow through their lessons while you preserve your strength. To stop leaking energy, you must also learn the sacred discipline of saying no, not out of rebellion, but out of reverence for your soul. Every yes that isn't aligned with your heart fragments your energy. When you start saying no to what drains you, you're actually saying yes to peace, clarity, and creativity. The INFJ's no isn't harsh, it's protective. It's a quiet declaration that you will no longer betray your own needs to make others comfortable. Start small, decline the unnecessary phone call, postpone the meeting that doesn't serve your goals, walk away from conversations that leave you heavy. Your no creates space for restoration, and in that space, your energy begins to gather again like light returning to its source. Mindfulness is another powerful remedy. INFJs live so much in the realms of intuition and emotion that they sometimes forget the grounding power of the present moment. When your thoughts are scattered between the past and the future, your energy is too. Mindfulness, even in simple acts like breathing, cooking, or walking, recenters you in the now. It's in that presence that your energy begins to stabilize. The more you anchor yourself in the present, the less likely your mind will wander into draining loops of worry or rumination. Start your mornings with 5 minutes of intentional stillness. No screens, no noise, just breath. Feel your heartbeat, your surroundings, your presence. That calm becomes your invisible armor against emotional chaos. Another essential way to stop leaking energy is to honor your solitude, but do it correctly. Solitude for an INFJ is not isolation, it's recalibration. You're not withdrawing from the world. You're recharging your inner circuitry. When you spend intentional time alone, journaling, meditating, creating, or even sitting in silence, your scattered energy begins to realign. The thoughts that once overwhelmed you begin to make sense. The emotions you've absorbed from others start to release naturally. But you must treat solitude as sacred, not optional. It's your energetic maintenance routine. Without it, you will always feel like you're losing pieces of yourself in every crowd you enter. You can also reclaim your energy through conscious creative expression. INFJs are channels. Your energy must flow somewhere. When it doesn't, it stagnates and turns into anxiety. Writing, painting, singing, designing, storytelling, whatever medium you choose, allows your emotions to move instead of settle. When you create, you release what no longer belongs in your body. You transform emotional density into beauty. Make creativity your spiritual hygiene, something you do not for performance, but for purification. Every stroke, word, or idea becomes a thread pulling your scattered energy back into alignment. Your environment also plays a role in preserving your energy. INFJs are deeply sensitive to surroundings. Clutter, noise, harsh lighting, or chaos can quietly drain you. Create spaces that nourish your spirit. Surround yourself with softness, warm light, calming scents, art that reflects your inner peace. Spend time in nature often. Trees and water naturally cleanse your energy field. Even reorganizing your workspace or bedroom can make an enormous difference. When your physical environment mirrors calm, your mind and energy follow suit. When you begin practicing these habits consistently, something beautiful happens. Your aura, once porous and fatigued, becomes luminous again. You stop running on borrowed strength and start generating your own. People will notice the difference. You'll walk into rooms and feel your presence stabilize the air instead of being swallowed by it. You'll speak from a place of calm confidence rather than emotional exhaustion. You'll stop chasing peace because peace will live within you.